The PlayStation 2's era of dominance has long gone, but there's a lot of stuff that all of us who were around back then remember pretty intently. Hi folks, it's Falcon, and today on gameranx, 10 things only PlayStation 2 owners will understand. Number 10, trying to use the "hey parents, the PlayStation 2 is a DVD player and we don't have one of those yet" arguments to get a PlayStation 2. Oh yeah, trying to use your parents' want to keep up with the Joneses and their DVD player as a means to smuggle in the newest gaming system was a shrewd move on your part. It was also a shrewd move on Sony's part. They sold a massive amount of PlayStation 2s and a lot of it was for the DVD player. Families bought it hook, line, and sinker. It was a great loss leader. It cost them more to put a DVD player into their game console at the start of its life cycle than sounds like a shrewd move, but it got that PlayStation brand into everybody's house. And then they were like, hey, God of War, this is a thing, enjoy. Number 9, that analog button on the dual analog controller. Yeah, nowadays controllers have some stuff on them that seems unfamiliar, but not a lot. Sure, we don't use that touchpad as much as maybe we could. That thing got a little bit ignored by game developers, but yeah, there was actually a button on the controller that activated the analog sticks. If you pressed it, a red LED would come on indicating that the analog sticks were being used. It wasn't like, everything today where you just use one of them and the game is like, oh, you're using the analog stick. No, you had to switch it on. Number 8, when 8 megabytes was a lot of space. We bought 8 megabyte memory cards to save our games on, and we would be like, well, we'll never fill this up. And we never did. Okay, I'm exaggerating a little bit. There are some of us who did. But the point is, it is amazing because we fill up hundreds of megabytes on the current console generation's hard drives. Just save games now. There's so many different personalization options and things that get saved as more than a list of attributes that a lot of our save games take up more than 8 megabytes. Also, those memory cards looked cool, if I'm gonna be honest. They look like something out of Metal Gear. Number 7, when you didn't have one of those memory cards and you left the console on for days so you wouldn't lose your save game. This was especially common among people who had just gotten a PlayStation 2 as a DVD player. We don't need those memory cards. We're buying this to play The Matrix. We've got it on DVD now. We're going to watch The Matrix, a technological achievement in the Hollywood tradition of the blockbuster, however with more psychological elements. Okay, Dad, geez. I have to leave this game on for days now. You understand that, right? Fine. Get the memory card. Number 6, losing that memory card. Oh yes, the memory card lifestyle had plenty of ins and outs. Nowadays, it's really hard to lose a save game because it's really hard to lose an entire console. But back then, we were storing our save games on these little Metal Gear Solid looking 8 megabyte rectangles. I lose stuff like that all the time, still, to this very day. It's not even really dependent on the shape of it. It's small. It's easy to lose small stuff. And if you were in the middle of a game and that happened, it's gone. Poof. Hey, gotta start over. Unless you can find that little plastic rectangle. Hey Mom, I'm looking for my tiny plastic rectangle. I've misplaced it. Have you seen something like that? It looks kind of like a Zippo lighter, except it's not a Zippo lighter. It's a Zippo lighter? Number 5, you might remember when the PlayStation 2 first launched, the console scalper trend began due to the shortage. eBay was relatively new back then. I mean, not super new, but enough new that people were like, actually, I could probably sell this rare console on eBay for more. And they'd put it up for like $1,000 and people would buy them. Hell, I remember people buying them for actually more than that. You know, those rich kids with their rich parents that don't even think about money. They're just like, actually, I don't want to go down and fight all the poors for a PlayStation. Instead, let's just buy one on eBay. Number 4, the huge library of games. Back in the days of PlayStation, there was much more room in the market for your mid-size developers. And while we do see some amazing games like Hellblade: Senua's Sacrifice, we saw a lot more games of that quality and length in the PS2 era. The sort of AA studios were really given a lot more room to play with on account the AAA titles weren't so regular, so to speak. There was less corporate consolidation. EA hadn't bought tons of studios and closed them yet, and just generally a lot of stuff like that hadn't happened. So you had games like your Okamis, which are very high quality, but probably would have a tough time getting through the studio system today. I mean, there was a huge variety of different types of gameplay, and you had so many examples of every single one that you could pick one and be like, I'm gonna try this. And there's a decent chance that it'd be at least good. It was a different era, and it's not like there weren't really bad games. They existed, but not every game had to cost hundreds of millions of dollars to make in order for it to be considered valid, and that meant more games that people put their hearts and souls into were made. Number 3, the iToy, a forerunner, or maybe not a forerunner to the Xbox Kinect, I don't know. It definitely came before it, but it's basically just a webcam. They did a bunch of stuff that the Kinect did, but with one camera, without the 3D imagery. It was basically just a webcam with some augmented reality stuff. It didn't make a big splash, so like, I'm not gonna pretend it did, but it was fun. It wasn't fun enough to take the gaming world by storm, because this is a list of things that only PlayStation 2 owners will understand. If the iToy really had made that big of an impact, it wouldn't be on this list. But still, it was an interesting gadget that gave us some weird rhythm games, some weird party games, including a Sega party game, and a Thomas the Tank Engine game as well, in case you're looking for a real deep cut. It was weird. I'll be honest, it was weird. Number 2, the old PS2 save icons. Every game had these sort of goofy icons for their save file on the memory card. Sometimes it would be its own 3D model, sometimes it would just be a cube with the game printed on it. But every save file looked genuinely different from every other one, and that is just not something that is how we do it now. It's not a big detail, it's not something that's astounding or shocking, but yeah. It was a neat sort of way of calling out for your game as though you care a little bit more to do something like that, at least on the developer's side. And finally, number 1, that super long startup screen. And I realized that it was only like 5 or so seconds, but it seemed like forever. Sony Computer Entertainment. Yeah, it's a nice logo. That's not a bad logo. It's yeah, it's a Sony logo on a white screen. Oh, there is no data. What do you remember from the ancient times of the Sony PlayStation 2? Leave us a comment, let us know what you think, and if you like this video, click like. If you're not subscribed, now would be a great time to do so. We upload brand new videos every day of the week. The best way to see them first is, of course, a subscription. As always, we thank you very much for watching this video. I'm Falcon. You can follow me on Twitter at Falcon the Hero, and we'll see you next time right here on gameranx.